Welcome to the Swift Recaps, people. The movie debuts in 2009. In Baja, Sammy and Ray are on a beach. Get ready for the hatching in California. Sammy recounts their first grandchildren. The fans that he is the best. They were born and are buddies with Ray 50 years ago on the same beach. During the time he is awaiting the grandchildren, Sammy made the decision to inform the viewers a narrative of his life and how he initiated his initial contact with humans on the same beach in 1959. Sammy was near the nest space, and at the time, he was the final egg to hatch. There was nobody on the beach, and it was a place for human leisure. But the older siblings of Sammy have already climbed from the nest to reach therefore, he had to follow the same steps as the ocean. Quickly, but Sammy was in a hurry, incapable of leaving the nest, and none his siblings were nearby to assist him. Leave now. Instead, they bid him farewell and may or may not cross paths once more in. Sammy spent 30 years alone in the, if there is any, he screams out for assistance. Still anyone nearby to remove him, but there was no one to assist. Sammy believes he won't be able to, therefore, he had only 5 minutes to make it. A seagull appears out of nowhere and, because he was unable to, he captures Sammy. Leave the nest in time for his remaining siblings. Sammy was lifted into the air by the chicken refused to be consumed after, despite only being a few months old. Sammy, he responded by spitting in the seagull's eye, causing it to take flight of authority and collides with a different seagull. That is, a second hatchling is being held in its beak. This causes the two birds to fall, the turtles, as they plummeted from the sky. A female hatchling is seen dropping by Sammy with him, whereupon he becomes charmed with her on first sighting. First greeting from the female hatchling, they were able to avoid an obstacle as falling seagull approaching. The two eventually succeed in arriving at the surface near the ocean. However, Sammy eventually lands on a raft, while the female hatchling is struggling, safely landing in a watery puddle. Wants to assist Sammy in getting down, since he can't move due to the landing hurts my skull, but when her brother shows up, he drags her to the water right away because seagulls are still soaring in the sky. Sammy learned that the hatchling's name is known as, by her brother, Shelly, but he was unable to follow her or move toward the sea. He was in the process of losing her and is now, I'm alone on the beach at night. Sammy frequently sees Shelly in his nightmares return for him, only for him to be devoured by a seagull upon Sammy's awakening from his slumber. Once the waves begin to arrive, they push his raft is in the water, removing it while he is still on it. Sammy, though, makes a full recovery from his wounds, has no problem getting carried away, determines that this is the initial phase of the start of his voyage. The following, Sammy gets up in the morning and strolls down. He glances at the wooden plank of the raft, a pair in the water, down there, with seaweed adhering to it. He begins consuming seaweed for breakfast. Suddenly, he sees 3 senior marine captains, turtles, leaving on their homemade raft, or drifting close to him. The seaweed, Jacko, Ollie, and 3 other elder turtles. Sandra, greeting Sammy, remark on how young she is. He will be on his own in the current. Jacko and Ollie forewarn Sammy of the ocean's risk due to its many predators for him to eat, such as sharks and barracudas. Sandra, who finds it annoying when her buddies scare notwithstanding their attempts to protect Sammy is warned and told to follow his intuition, and he won't need an explanation for her fear before she wishing him well on his adventure. The 3 older turtles are being watched. 2 departed before the 3 more senior. Sammy can't see the turtles anymore. Ollie and Jacko keeps cautioning and teasing him that he had to be cautious of netting, stay away from being turtle soup. He was also instructed to consume seaweed and refrain from consuming plastic. After Sammy, I was floating around in the water when he almost gets bit by a piranha. A glance at the water below, he observes a hatchling leatherback being disturbed by a loggerhead bale. Hatchlings pleading with him to leave there. He won't be able to eat due to the seaweed draft. All their meals, angry that he fits neither the loggerheads nor that they wish to remove him. The hatchling leatherback enters when he drinks water, his head hurts, hits the leatherback that is Sammy's raft. Sammy offends the hatchling for allegedly hitting him upside the head and accuses him of revealing a secret to him. Just as he jumps in, a passage on his head, the ocean. Sammy was left alone once more. Although a hatchling leatherback emerges from discloses to him that there is just water, as leatherbacks have heads that resemble. The 2 hatchlings meet each other on rocks, other with the hatchling leatherback revealing himself as Ray. They learn that they shared the same date of birth, beach, and yesterday on the same day, which encourages the 2 people's friendship. They notice 2 hatchlings, and then Ray is accepted as if they were brothers. Onto Sammy's raft with everyone else. New best pals begin to form, leaving the Pacific Ocean and heading south. About 10 years later, They were together. Sammy and Ray are nearly adults already, and they begin discussing having to look in the near future for a partner following being convinced to inform him by Ray. Sammy lets him know what kind of guy he is, greatest friend, how he first met Shelley. Considering his kindness and personality, he unintentionally saved her from the seagull. As soon as they were a few minutes old, Ray is greatly moved by Sammy's account. This gives him hope that perhaps one day the two pals will cross paths with Shelley. Sammy will therefore see her once more since they saw a tiny ocean as Sammy and Ray spends the night at the Tasman Sea without realizing a massive ship is being some far from their raft parked. When daylight comes, Sammy is back. Dreams of Shelley prior to Ray waking him up to demonstrate what he observed. Sammy follows while investigating the sea into the ocean, where he encounters an octopus, and his best pal. Begin to enjoy yourself with Skinny by hanging the tentacles of his body, and the octopus rotates like a rotor carousel. But their enjoyment is cut short when the marine life realized that an earlier ship had released oil into the water. Moreover, it contaminates the area around them. The discovery of oil surprises Sammy and Ray the first time, and following their statement, "Farewell, Skinny, and keep on with your," they glance upward above the surface. You observe a truck carrying oil shipwrecked, resulting in a significant supply because of oil spilling into the ocean. This was their initial interaction with the humans. Even though they would continue for a time, Sammy and Ray left the Tasman Sea, realized that a lot of things would change. One thing about their adventure was that they would constantly be impacted by humanity. After more time has passed, more and more, Sammy and Ray are currently in trouble because their raft broke. Must navigate without a boat in the water. Raft to guard themselves against predators, but only for a short while. When their raft broke, Sammy was unintentionally taken by a big fishing net in Ray's attempts to saving him. He was caught in a different net as well. Sadly, the two closest friends parted ways. When the net captured them, they had too risen, and Ray became distracted by Sammy came from another ship. Sammy successfully removes himself from the web and attempts to leave the ship without using any of. However, when the fishermen saw him, Sammy was unintentionally stuck by a fisherman between two crates and the boat's wall, with Sammy attempts to flee for a few hours. Later, Sammy begins to feel worn out after spending so much time on the boat, and fisherman eventually locates him as opposed to converting him into turtle soup. A fisherman returns Sammy to the water. However, Sammy had been out of the water for a considerable amount of time. He sank to without having the ability to move the ocean floor. A dolphin makes an appearance and revives. Sammy is still feeling him come back to life. Swims up fatigued and spots a beach. So he reaches out toward the water and falls asleep. But unknowingly, he was discovered by some hippies at night and places him in a container near the shore. The following morning, Sammy awakens and comes across the enclosure. A hippie named Snow, who was taken in, observed how Sammy is terrified. She then departs to buy him food, and she assures him they'll take actual. Once the hip is removed, take careful care of him. Sammy is kept company by the family cat, Fluffy, who advises him to do so. Get out of there before they consume him. Sammy isn't scared of hippies, though, and he thinks they're lovely. After being restored to health by Snow, subsequently giving him some vegetables, Sammy watches the snow while it rains, while she travels the globe while reading. He will be his child in 80 days. I find it fascinating because the story includes a human being is capable of international travel, that the world contains other oceans than he initially believed, since he believed his universe is sometimes like a tiny ocean. Later, Snow discovers a huge female, Vera, a turtle, is introduced into the boundary, pondering a possible union between Sammy and Vera. However, given that Sammy still feels things, Vera and Shelley are far too elderly for him. They are platonic friends, two sea turtles, rather than a relationship. On Christmas 1969, everyone, even Fluffy and the turtles, were all joking around about the vacationing as a family on the beach. As a gift, Snow paints a peace sign for him, the shell of Sammy, and she gives him a brief ambassadorial message before wishing. Initially, he was given a Merry Christmas, Sammy. I don't understand why Snow did it, because his first holiday season is now, but he begins to appreciate the mark on his shell serves both as a gift and a metaphor of tranquility for him. More time elapses. Vera is discharged into the ocean via the hippies, who believe she and Sammy can't mate yet. But not for long. The unregistered hippies are then. The cops expelled Sammy without her knowledge. What's happening has caused him to fall behind. When all of Snow's hippie friends, as you leave the beach, the only bring a fluffy snowflake with them, Sammy. A fulfilling life while being pushed around. A friend of hers took her away, which results in Sammy realizing it later, that Fluffy is attempting to snag something. Out of jealousy, get rid of him. When all of Snow's pals were gracious, give him proper care because Fluffy has lied, telling him that the hippies will have dinner, after they had saved him and tried to frighten him off by myself and Sammy, without anyone providing for his needs. Believing they would return, he makes an effort to live by himself he tries to consume leaves from an island. Tree consumes a few dollars when he mistook them for leaves and read around the world in 80 days. In the novel, Sammy ultimately decides to go back to the sea, where he meets Vera. Sammy and I are looking for food once more. Vera encounters a female turtle, that is, Sammy, Vera, and the shark were being pursued. Both succeeded in saving the female turtle, who reveals herself to be an adult Shelly. Sammy and Shelly are left unattended by Vera. The reunited pair begin their journey, collaborating to look for food to consume while Sammy, the traveler, queries Shelly if she's ever becomes bored and just drifts, circling in circles and requesting whether it would be wonderful to explore He also informs her of the fact that more exists than just these waters than they initially believed, and he wants to view the odd islands and icy oceans. He wants to confirm what he heard from humans, even makes a comment about them. A question to Shelly regarding a hidden passage, whether she wishes to accompany him, which she approves of because she genuinely enjoys and desires to take a worldwide trip along with him. And so the voyage. Sammy and Shelly have started and encounter a variety of marine life along the route to look for the hidden door. When you eventually make it to a canal in Panama where they believe after them, the secret entrance is near, courageously defend themselves against a school with piranhas. Sammy was grabbed and taken by a bald eagle, where its chicks are, to its nest. Sammy is able to defend himself from being eaten from the females, but only to hear the whirring of a chainsaw both below him and prior to the tree falling. Sammy observes an approaching ship headed in the direction of a distant location, so after he entered the sea safely again, Sammy and Shelly accompanied the vessel and have arrived at what they believe to be when the duo is about to enter they unintentionally pass through it themselves apart as they attempt to move past. Sammy the Lock believes it is his responsibility. He lost Shelly, who is sad and returns to the ocean and swims there, past a bundle of content sea turtles. Couples as they swim by the couples, he came across a retired turtle couple who chanced to run into Shelly, which gives Sammy a sense of relief. Shelly is still alive. She is moving toward the ice in the south, searching the waves for the hidden passage. Sammy hopes to follow the trail. He'll run into Shelly once more along the way. He comes across a ship with passengers are hurling various objects down junks into the water despite Sammy's presence. That two are too close to the ship. A refrigerator was dropped by passengers. It prompts Sammy to ascend there and travels all over the world using it as a boat. The route that led him to Antarctica runs into a whale. However, he begs her to lend a hand. Unintentionally, the whale attracts attention. One of the whalers on board a ship loaded they shot her with a harpoon. Only the whale could avoid, and the refrigerator gets hit by a harpoon, and Sammy as opposed to Sammy, who is shivering in the water, eventually attracts a person's attention. A team of Greenpeace employees, who came across him and took him to there. Sammy, who is battling cancer, frostbite, is transported to a lab by the worker, and now he is housed in a container while traveling on board the ship, in a room, to the space, where he finds Shelly inside a cage who is attempting to heal from. As soon as the ship arrives at Sacramento, California, Sammy travels to Monterey, a sanctuary for animals, where he is assigned. There, inside a pen, he rejoins. He receives an apology from Fuzzy for lying to him, to which he responds by claiming was envious at the moment. He adds, Sammy was aware of the hippos and the snow from the beach are currently employed by Sammy at the rescue center scans the window and observes a few employees about to. Shelly should be returned to the water. It makes Sammy anxious and desires to exit the stall to observe as soon as possible, but before Fluffy can to get Sammy out of the pen, open the door. When Snow entered the space, Sammy was a surprise after all. These years have passed, and Sammy has matured. When they last encountered one another, informs him that she must tag him before being released back into. Shortly after Sammy was released into the water, attack, and back into the sea, he carried on looking for Shelly, but two females he meets on the way are leatherbacks who requested their assistance to save a turtle who is stranded in when the refrigerated trailer arrived at Sammy discovered that the trapped, his old acquaintance, turtle, is indeed still around Ray, and he steps in to save his best pal. After meeting up with his best pal, Ray accompanied Sammy to a shipwreck to look for. Sammy and Shelly also got to know Ray's partner. Sammy is informed by Rita that Shelly is. Sammy goes into the shipwreck and finds the shipwreck and begins poking around inside it, prior to noticing Shelly enjoying seaweed, but he notices something outside, behind the ship, what seems to be the mate of Shelly. When he arrives and flirts with her, it results in Sammy told Ray that she was devastated. Ray tries to explain what happened to Rita, tell Sammy to brighten up that place. Are there nearby additional female turtles that he would enjoy? But Sammy learns from the reader. Shelly is being courted by the turtle, is known as Robbie, and Clara is his current girlfriend, but he decides to keep making out with. Sammy was happy to see other female turtles, that Shelly and Robbie are not friends. Thus, he could intervene and assist Shelly once more. However, he began to worry that she wouldn't. Having experienced what happened at the Panama Canal, Ray's desire to assist Shelly's heart informs him that he has won the consider making a spectacular entrance to obtain Sammy and help them get back together with Shelly. From a man by the name of Albert. When Shelly reasoned behind consuming some seaweed shipwreck. When a shark shows up, it pursues her. Shelly is saved by Sammy when he arrives from the shark, bringing the two back together as a. Sammy also informed Shelly about this. Albert, the shark, is actually a toothless shark to assist Sammy stage the rescue, but Shelly is okay with it, being involved in a phony rescue, and she receives once more with Sammy, despite the due to an event at the Panama Canal. And Sammy and Shelly's relationship is really sweet, dependable for one another. The shipwreck is where the couple marries, with the additional sea turtles present. Following their nuptials, the newlyweds both swim off together following the ceremony, allowing them to proceed with their circumnavigating the globe in the current 2009. Today, Sammy and Ray, both of them now have a new grandfather. Both grandparents' grandchildren viewed. Sammy's young grandchildren are heard the road from their nest, allowing them to. Sammy and Ray are saying, get to the water, preparing to meet each other's wives. After they get to Tristan da Cunha, at that moment, there were all the kids in the water. Sammy heard his youngest child's voice, grandchild in the nest crying for assistance, so, to reach the nest, he crawls and observes him attempting to exit. Sammy, recognizing the feelings of his grandson about emerging from the egg last nest and finding it difficult to exit, aids him and observes him following his siblings outside. After pleading with him to go to the water, his own travels. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.